Welcome to the 2024 Bloody Water Podcast Year-End Award Show. Give it up for your hosts, Derick G and AJ.
6 categories, 6 awards. That's what we're doing here on this episode of the Bloody Water Podcast. Folks, if you're new to the program, my name is Derick G. Welcome back. Joining me, as always, the Santa Fe bomber, the New Mexico native himself, AJ. As I mentioned, a lot of gold up for grabs. We did our championship run last week. Now it's time for the athletes themselves to be crowned for all the highs and lows and everything in between. And why not start with the first category of the night, the upset of the year, the most surprising category, if you will. AJ, we got 3 nominees for this one. Who do we got on deck?
Man, starting us off, Diego Fajeda. His fight against Mateusz Rebecki, snapping a 16-fight losing streak. Massive dog right there. Next up, Ayman Zahabi takes down a huge favorite, a crowd favorite, Basharat over there. And then the final nominee right here, Derick, Gabriela Fernandez. She's a massive upset against Wang Kong. This one is pretty close, but one of the biggest upsets we've seen all year long.
I think it's fair to say, if we have to look at these 3 categories, right, or these 3 nominees, if you will, there were many more fighters within that we had to choose from, but these were the 3 people that stood out the best, right? Diego Fajeda, for an example, over Mateusz Rebecki. That was such a large victory. He's a veteran, so it's not super surprising, right? But it was such a large discrepancy because of the man was riding a 16-fight win streak, and it got snapped right here. Really just showed that a veteran can do it through and through. But AJ, Wang Kong, she was locked in. She was the female McGregor, right? We were saying like, hey, she's coming in. They're really riding the star power. Gabriela Fernandez, middle of the pack fighter, ends up coming in and does what, man? Chokes her out after dropping her. Talk about an impressive scale, man. And that's what's crazy is because when you look at these categories as well, you have to take into account some are more impressive than others, even though the name might have been large, the method of victory might not have been fantastic. Cam Smotherman, for an example, came in short notice on his debut. He got the job done. He didn't quite make the list. Either way, I think we have a little bit of consensus on this one. This might be one of our easier ones of the night.
Your winner for the 2024 Upset of the Year is Gabriela Fernandez.
With her submission victory against Wang Kong, impressive all the way, and a plus 625. And I believe on the show when we were talking about it, folks, Derick said, watch out, this one's a prop buster. Don't put your money on her.
That's it. And what happened? Wang Kong, I just said she was an unbettable fighter. That's all. But I think we're in consensus right there. That's the first award on the night, upset of the year. You got to love it. Brazil takes it home. We have another one, though. The second one, if you will, is going to be the Breakthrough Fighter of the Year. And AJ, before we talk about the Breakthrough Fighter of the Year, let's give a little bit of an explanation as to what exactly a Breakthrough Fighter is to you. Because even though we have a consensus award program right here, we all walk around with different definitions in our head. I think that a breakthrough fighter is somebody who is not a championship level fighter. They're still upcoming, rising up their ranks, but they have a chip on their shoulder because they're not proven yet and the masses don't see them as proven. That's my kind of roundabout answer for Breakthrough Fighter of the Year. Is that on the head? Do you have a different analysis of it? What are your thoughts?
I think we're very in line with this one, Derick. One of the things that came to my mind when I'm thinking about breakthrough fighters is somebody who didn't already have the media push, right? Somebody who's not part of that limelight that the UFC likes to shine on people. So they decide they're taking it for their own. I'm grabbing it. I'll make this year mine.
No Carlos Prates, for an example. You know, this is a dude who's got a little bit of media push, like hasn't quite made it all the way, but you know who this man is. I would say realistically, if I'm looking at the list right here, there's not a lot of dudes right here. There might be one person on here where it's like, yeah, that kind of makes sense. But there's not a lot of dudes on here with massive name value, and there's some real veterans on here. So AJ, kick us off. Who are our nominees for Breakthrough Fighter of the Year?
First nominee, Derick, Mauricio Rufy, had a significant standout year in 2024, 2-0 record. I mean, with the names of Jamie Malarkey on his hit list, it's hard not to look at him going forward, as well as next nominee, Esteban Ribovic, man, continues to build his reputation over here. A lot of finishes, and as well as Fight of the Nights going for 2024. And then finally, man, Youssef Zalal, one of the fighters I love to see return to the sport, and I think that's why he caught a lot of people's attention right here. Hit list after hit list, Billy Q, Jack Shore, like this guy goes on, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do in 2025 for the organization.
Crazy, man, because a lot of people, I think that they would already hand this award to Mauricio Rufy and just say, hey, take it, bro, you know what I mean? It's yours. Again, another Conor McGregor comparison, but this is the dude who's popping off the page, man, because look at that left hand, look at that right hand, look at that rear hand. That's all you need to care about. But the point is the striking was very impressive. The overall 2024 record for Rufy, 2-0, 1 decision, 1 TKO. I don't know, not quite enough to really win the Breakthrough Fighter of the Year. You need a little bit more. Esteban Ribovic. The fight that he had with Daniel Zellhuber in the Sphere, man, that could have won him the award in and of itself right there. But again, this is a man who you need to do a little bit more. It was 2-0, right, in that span. One split decision fight of the night and one TKO. Very, very impressive as well. But I mean, come on.
Your winner for the 2024 Breakthrough Fighter of the Year is Youssef Zalal.
The Moroccan Devil. He stands out for a reason. AJ, the Moroccan Devil, came in, resurged himself in the UFC, said, all right, I'm going to go out, I'm going to go win some regional championships, come back, and 3 submission victories in a row. This is not a man who was particularly known for being a submission threat to that end. He was more of a fast hands type dude who also struggled with some of the takedown defense issues. He turned it around. He looks like a contender right now. And I think it's fair to say that's got to be a lock right there. The Moroccan Devil for the Breakthrough Fighter of the Year 2024 Bloody Water Podcast. What do you think, brother?
Absolutely lock it in. When you get 3 finishes and some of the most fights throughout the entire year on this one, that is what it takes, man. To be grinding through, getting the job done, and putting a stamp on it. Moroccan Devil all day.
That's fair. Roll the tape right there and let it run for the Moroccan Devil. 2 awards down. AJ, we got one more category to break down before we jump into the second half of our award show. But this category right here can be a little bit ambiguous, if you will. This is the moment of the year. Some might find that a little hard to define, right? Like a knockout versus a big moment. What's the difference if they're both knockouts? How does one fit in the other? Well, AJ, you are our arbiter of truth and justice on the Bloody Water Podcast. I think it's only right that you let the people know, kind of explain to them what exactly qualifies as moment of the year.
This one to me, Derick, what qualifies it is something that stood the test of time, right? Somebody that they're talking about for a month, 2 months, 3 months, halfway down the year, something that made an impact on people on a specific time, right? Like you said, knockouts can happen, but does everybody remember the knockouts throughout the whole year? In the moment, that needs to be something that is a viral clip, if you will.
And that's fair, right? So like an impressive feat might not be the same as a really impressive moment. People have to talk about it. Virality, if you will, is kind of the entire buzzing point right here. Well, we got a couple of nominees here, and then there has been one moment that I think has resonated with everybody. So let's go ahead, break them down, brother. What do we got for our nominees for moment of the year?
Going 2 nominees on this one, folks. First up, starting us off, Ilia Topuria with his knockout against Alexander Volkanovski. Man, first fighter to knock out Volk and solidifies Ilia as the guy that's standing there with the crown. You need to come and take it. Next nominee right here, Max Holloway versus Justin Gaethje. Stand there, last second, point to the ground, stand and bang like we're back on the playground. Man, that's one of those ones we're talking about. Very, very interesting year for moments.
And 2 really big nominees. We got a couple of honorable mentions as well because this is a consensus program, meaning we have to come to some consensus for nominees to be formed. A couple of nominees here. Shara Magomedov, Charles Bullet, right, with the double spinning back fist. AJ, again, just why is this a moment as opposed to a crazy knockout?
Pretty sure, and correct me if I'm wrong, Derick, first and only double spinning back fist knockout. That's what makes it a moment for me.
Okay, all right. History, right? History has been made. Okay, that's fair. That actually makes a lot of sense. All right, one more. Islam Makhachev, title defense against Dustin Poirier. Makhachev successfully defended his belt, had the crazy little moment with that little ankle pick to get the choke in the whole 9. It was fantastic, right? But maybe not quite enough to really become a solidified nominee because people are talking about it. But are they like, yo, man, that's the one moment of 2024? I'm not sure. But AJ, we both know there's one moment in 2024 that everybody has resonated with.
Your winner for the 2024 Moment of the Year is Max Holloway.
To leave Justin Gaethje, one of the baddest mans on the planet, slumped over, taking a nap. Bro, Max Holloway solidified himself as a GOAT, and that moment will live on in clips for years. I'm sure they're going to be playing it on UFC banners, role-playing for the intros for years to come.
And that's what's crazy. And I'm glad that we're a merit-based program right here because that is fair to be a moment of the year. But a lot of people, AJ, that's such a big moment. A lot of people are calling it Fight of the Year due to that one moment. Last time I checked, the Fight of the Year needs to be competitive, right? This one wasn't the most, but this was a very competitive moment in the annals of UFC history. So with that being said, that is your moment of the year 2024. All right, now we're going to take a little bit of a flip, a twist, if you will, and we're going to jump into a little bit more harder metrics. And what I mean by harder metrics, you got a knockout, you got a submission, and then we're going to roll through for the fighter of the year. So we're just about ready to head into the second half of our program. But folks, before we do do that. It would be a dishonor if you do not go ahead and subscribe to the program. Just go ahead and check your status right now. Are you subscribed? If the answer is yes, hit that notification bell so you never miss an episode. We told you the Bloody Water podcast is coming back with a vengeance in 2025. We were not lying to you. We have a very ambitious, lofty goal. AJ, what you want? 75%? That's what your percentage for the year?
75%, brother.
I'm looking for 70. I'm a little less ambitious, but I'm right there. I might have to go 76. I got ego too. You know what I'm saying? But this is the point. If we win, you guys win. We're bringing in some new things next year, so jump on before it's too late. Over 3,300 strong here on the Bloody Water podcast. And with that being said, AJ, no more mincing words. Let's talk about the knockout of the year. Brother, most people start off their program with the knockout of the year, right? They say, let's get straight to the heavy stuff. We said we got so much good stuff that we had to wait a little bit. But for the knockout of the year, this one's a little bit different. Folks, transparency. We normally have about 5-ish different fights to select from that have already been qualified and, taking a look from all of the big masses, shrunken down to this list. There's so many knockouts, so many submissions. You have about 10 fights to choose nominees from, and then we condensed it down. So AJ, we got some nominees right here. As always, 3 really is what we should be looking for, but this one was a little bit harder to nail down. So who are our nominees, or our nominee, if you will, for knockout of the year?
Your winner for the 2024 Knockout of the Year is Vinicius Oliveira.
Vinicius Oliveira versus Bernardo Sopai, folks. When you're looking for a knockout, right, for something that is the moment or the knockout of the year, you need a little pizzazz. You need a little bit of fire going behind it. And anytime you see somebody get slept with a flying knee and then they take a nap, literally fold it up like a lawn chair, that's what does it for me. And that's this one, man, back in March over here with Vinicius Oliveira. Fight Night 238. Very impressive. And how many flying knees do we see? Not that many, but I hope we're seeing more in it this coming year.
And let's not forget, man, Sopai was up on the cards when that happened, right? So, Vinicius needed the finish. He got it, running the Mortal Kombat flying knee right there. It was a beautiful thing to see. But, AJ, we had a bunch of honorable mentions as well. Let's go ahead and let's just kind of talk about a couple of them. Faraz Ziam, surprised that there was no consensus on this one, but his knee knockout, that in the clinch, top of the knee, slump Matt Frevola, the steamroller, man. Not a lot of dudes are just putting him out like that. You didn't like it? What do you think?
The one thing that kept me from really voting for this one, Derick, because like I said, right before, I love knees. I love seeing people get hit with them. Like, they're beautiful. But the way that Matt Frevola was fighting, it was not the steamroller to me. So they're like, and with the way it's all unfolding, I mean, credit to all Faraz, because the way he was put it on, it made steamroller not live up to the moment. So there goes a lot of credit right there. I just didn't feel like it was one of the ones where I was stunned.
This is one that you did throw a nominee for. Shara Bullet, double spinning back fist right here. So this one was good enough to make a knockout nominee and to make a moment of the year nominee. That's interesting one right there. AJ, I'd be doing a disservice if I didn't mention this. Yunesi Dubin versus Shannon Clark in Dana White Contender Series. How this didn't become a consensus vote, I have no idea. There's one very simple and clear reason why that this one stood out to me. Females hitting that one hitter quitter, man, that Derek Lewis knockout power. You don't see it, so when it happens, it's automatically on knockout of the year list right here. And then Contender Series, Tuesday Night MMA, you gotta love it. AJ, no love?
Not no love, Derick. Love from me, love from the degenerates out here. I'm sure that's why you were watching it as well, because this is one that made all of us that love this sport, right? We were here for it. But with the masses, with everybody out there, I can almost guarantee not too many people saw this, not too many people know these names. So, folks, when you're checking this out, make sure you check out Sleeper, because we're going to be talking about both these fighters a lot.
That's right. All right. And then the last couple of ones right here, Yuri and Alex Paeta, number 2, right? The head kick and then the ground and pound finish. I thought that was pretty solid. And that wasn't that one. That was the Jamal Hill right there.
Jamal Hill.
With the joint, you know what I mean? And I think that's everything that we got for that one. One clear nominee right there, Vinicius Oliveira. He got the job done. All right, AJ, we're getting close to the end. Submission of the year. This is a hard one, man. A lot of submissions happened this year. It's really hard to kind of determine what is the best submission. And I'm going to look at it from a jiu-jitsu standpoint, right? From a jiu-jitsu perspective, I should be grading this off of technical prowess and proficiency and did you lock this up? All of that stuff, right? But in the MMA, it doesn't really matter, right? It's about a big moment. It's about a big submission. And it's about something that's really, really nasty, right?
For the honorable mentions, folks, we're starting off Robert Whitaker versus Khamzat Chimaev, right? When you break somebody's jaw on a submission, it makes a lot of news right there. Next one up, Yair Rodriguez versus Brian Ortega, number 2, man. Brian Ortega, it's interesting to see him when he's not hitting the T-City with his legs. Now he's doing with his arms. Still lives up to the nickname. Another honorable mention right here, Derick du Plessis versus Izzy Adesanya. And admittedly, Derick is, winning the fight up until then, but then he puts a stamp on it and gets a submission on Izzy. And then another one, Bobby Green, I should say King Green now, excuse me, King, versus Paddy Pimblett. Paddy gets a submission. I mean, we know he's very dangerous over there, but to be able to do it up against the big dogs makes a lot of sense right here. And then the nominee, Derick Fluffy Hernandez versus Roman Kopylov. Man, with that deep rear naked choke that he had to fight for it as well. This wasn't something where he was just piecing him up and then he gave the back and was ready to tap out. Roman Kopylov was in the fight for a while, defending a lot, and man, we saw how dangerous and how vicious Fluffy Hernandez can be to get it done.
Your winner for the 2024 Submission of the Year is Anthony Hernandez.
Dog, I have to say, this made me stand up for the jiu-jitsu community right here, because it was the rear naked choke, back against the cage, locked in with the tongue out, smiling like, yeah, we got that one, baby. Let's go. That's how you know it, because that's real. In jiu-jitsu, when you got it locked up, it's the Nate Diaz, double birds up. You know what I mean? I got it. I got the triangle in. We locked in. That's what it's all about. Fluffy Hernandez never ceases to impress. And well, y'all should have saw this one coming. UFC 298, Fluffy Hernandez wins submission of the year. And last but not least, AJ, we have one final category to cover right here. And in years past, we did something special. We would do the Bloodiest Water Award and things of that nature, things a little bit more home to the Bloody Water podcast, right? Instead, we're going to keep it basic with the base categories right here, bread and butter, and we're going with Fighter of the Year. Now, AJ, Fighter of the Year is pretty cut and dry, right? There's not a lot of room for interpretation here when it comes down to it. It's a very simple premise. Who did the most? And mostly this is reserved, I should say, for champions. It's hard to win Fighter of the Year if you're not a champion. Just like MVP in NFL. If you're not a quarterback, you're probably not going to win, right? So AJ, if you will, let us know the nominees for Fighter of the Year.
Nominees, folks, we're starting off Alex Poatan Paeta. I mean, if you're hearing any headlines about the UFC, you know Poatan's in it. Even with the fights he has, even the outside stuff, right? You're catching some media presence for it, man. 3-0, 3 knockouts. Dude's a savage. Next up, Ilya El Matador, man, Tuporia. I mean, again, you want to talk about names that just keep getting revitalized, or I guess keep getting republished. Ilya Tuporia is making headlines all the time, especially with the hit list he's been collecting. Dude's an animal. And then listen us off for some honorable mentions, right? We got to get the honorable mentions in there when Derick and I can't agree. So we're starting off with Still Knox, man. Derick du Plessis, submission over Izzy. I mean, this guy we're talking about, 2-0, one split decision, one submission. Derick, he's solidified himself on the top, man. He's not only a contender, he's a champ, but he's going to be staying around for a while. And then the final honorable mention, Diego Lopez. Man, I mean, if he was a champ, that's who I'd be giving my award to right here. But Diego Lopez has all the makings to be done here in 2025.
You have Alex Paeta, you got Poatan, and you have Ilya Tuporia. And this is going to be the national argument, because I think this is probably the winners for everybody's awards, but it's very simple, right? Alex Paeta, he has more victories, technically, right? All knockouts, fantastic. But, I mean, if you look at who he's fighting as opposed to what Ilya Tuporia accomplished, I don't think it's even remotely close. I think Paeta is on a hell of a run. He's doing something fantastic. Look at the backstory. Look at the lack of MMA experience and coming in and just destroying everybody. Awesome. Ilya Tuporia single-handedly destroyed two modern legends of the current UFC. Alexander Volkanovski, which some people would say, he took the fight too early after the Makhachev knockout or whatever the case may. Listen, man, we said if he does it to Holloway, who's never been dropped before, if he could do it to that, then all of the excuses for Volkanovski all go out the window. He went out there and did the same exact thing.
Your winner for the 2024 Fighter of the Year is Ilya Tuporia.
Two living legends. He has him on his hit list. He's got notches on his shillelagh or whatever they call it. But no, Derick, the way Ilya was able to get things done with the caliber of opponent that he was facing, that's what solidified it for me.
And I think that is a very fair way to conclude this award show. So we gave you 6 winners right here. To recap here, AJ, just in quick fashion. Winner of Upset of the Year, Gabriela Fernandez. Winner for Breakthrough Fighter of the Year, the Moroccan Devil, Yusuf Zalal. Winner of Moment of the Year, of course, Max Bless Holloway, pointing down, knocking out Justin Gaethje. Vinicius Oliveira wins knockout of the year, knocking out Bernardo Sopai. Anthony Hernandez, he wins submission victory of the year against Roman Kopylov. And finally, Ilia Topuria caps us off fighter of the year. Folks, this was your 2024 Bloody Water Podcast MMA Award program. This is the year-end awards. And guess what? All that means is that we're getting ready for 2025, an action-packed year of making money, of watching banging scraps.
Jump on the train before you miss it, and all you're going to be missing, right? Like, you're not hurting us by not watching, not subscribing, but you are hurting your pocketbook, and that's what you can't be doing. So make sure you subscribe so that we can be cashing in like the rest of us here into 2025. It's going to be a great year.